Hello, and welcome to an episode of Todd Talks. When Todd talks, people listen. You innocent. Hopefully, I will not defer. I will not break down whether I am innocent or not. That's another video. But today, we are going to talk about a message that will definitely have you saying hell. Oh. Because the next death battle is indeed Ghost Rider versus Spawn, a matchup that I've seen a lot of people requesting for a lot of years, not the least of which is because Spawn hasn't been here since Season 1, where he fought Kratos, and then Ghost Rider hasn't been in a few years because he fought Lobo the last time. So, bringing back some fan favorites, and this should be a very fun matchup, and possibly impossible to predict a victor for. So, let's get started with Johnny Blaze, who, hey, if you want to look into his origin story, good luck! Yeah. I know they did the preview video with, like, the most basic version of his origin story, but trust me when I say it's far more complicated. Let's start with the basic one, and then I'll dive into the deeper retcon nonsense that always happens with comics like these. So, Johnny Blaze was the son of a stunt performer, part of a stunt performing family, in fact. And after his mother left him, and his father died in an accident, he was adopted by their dear friend, Crash Simpson. Yes, Crash Simpson, not Crash Bandicoot. Nice Wampa fruit joke boomstick. Johnny, of course, saw him as a father, but after an accident that claimed his adopted mother's life, Johnny promised not to join the family business, much to Crash's chagrin. However, everything changed with the Fire Nation attack. No, that's a different video. Third Avatar series coming soon, I guess. Crash was diagnosed with cancer, and due to this, Johnny decided that the only way to help Crash was to study the occult, and he tried to summon Satan. Instead, he summoned Mephistopheles, who totally isn't tied to the entire Blaze clan at all. Dang it, Marvel. Mephistopheles made a simple deal with him. He gets Johnny's soul, and Crash will be completely healed of cancer. Seems like a good deal, don't you think? Yeah, it totally backfired, because during a crash, Simpson died, and almost immediately, depending on the continuity, Johnny became the Ghost Rider, the spirit of vengeance. Not to be confused with the Ghost Rider, the pale horseman dude that Ben and Wiz were talking about in the preview. Also, the DV cast, if you watched the one from a year ago, which I did. So, as the spirit of vengeance, Johnny was bonded with the fallen angel known as Zarathos, who you will recall from the past death battle with Lobo. Zarathos was a rival to Mephistopheles, and Mephisto decided that due to Zarathos' power and his army, among other things, that he would trick him, enslave him, and then turn him into said spirit of vengeance. So he's technically both an angel and a demon due to lots of torture. It's complicated. It's really complicated. So, as a spirit of vengeance, Johnny would go around, riding around, fighting off all manner of supernatural threats, including fighting off Mephistopheles multiple times over, and other characters like Blackheart, and Damien Hellstrom, who's the son of Satan. Let's see what some of the others. The Sin Eater, and more. And the reason he could do this was because of the incredibly insane abilities that the Ghost Rider Zarathos imbued upon him. He had Hellfire, which could burn souls. He was able to infuse his own energy, his Hellfire energy, into other objects. So if you watch the first two Ghost Rider films and you saw how Nicolas Cage, you're stepping on Karen. Okay, go. Let's do this. Ghost Rider, have you ever just tried to imagine yourself being a person with their skull on fire? It's very uncouth. It's very uncouth. Not my best impersonation, but I think I get the cageisms down. Oh yeah. Is this blue? No, it's purple. Oh. Okay. I haven't solved this yet, but I will. Spider-Verse reference. Can you believe he's doing Spider-Man Noir? Wow. Anyway, Johnny can infuse various objects with hellfire to transform them into supernatural weapons, including his shotgun, which can shoot hellfire. He can transform his bike to the hell cycle. He can turn a semi into the hell semi. Anyway. And of course, because he is part, spirit of vengeance, he is basically indestructible. He can take lots of damage. He can basically regrow any limbs that are cut off of him. Even when he dies, he doesn't, technically. It's really complicated. It's the Ghost Rider. But his most devastating thing, of course, is the penance stare. Ooh. This infamous technique, which Marvel just can't help but power up and power down every single way but up. Didn't make sense. I apologize. Any which way. What's that phrase? Every which way but loose or something like that. Doesn't matter. But the penance stare is able to look into your soul and basically convict you to feel every single thing that you have done to a person. Every sin becomes manifest and damages you in various ways. So in the first Ghost Rider movie, when we first saw the penance stare, it was so bad that basically made the dude comatose. Or when he fought Blackheart, he literally got the thousands of souls that were within him to kill him, even though Blackheart himself said, "I have no soul to burn." Well, he did, and then they burned all of them. So yeah, that's the penance stare. And it's so powerful that at times you don't even have to look at the penance stare user to get it. Like one time I remember this from the original one with Lobo, Johnny, I think it was Johnny, convicted a whole town with the penance stare while he was looking at it from afar. So it's not like a look into my eyes and be danged, it's not that kind of a thing. He can do it without it, even though it was a weakness that you just had to cover his eyes or be blind. It's since gotten, broken, because of course it is. And then Denny Ketch, who is actually Johnny's brother, we'll get there, was able to take it to a whole new level where even Thanos couldn't resist it, even though Thanos did resist it later. Dang it, Marvel. Stop making things confusing. But even with all these powers, Johnny himself was still only a host. The true power was always Zarathos. And Johnny, by nature, because he's a good guy, just made really dumb decisions sometimes, always held Zarathos back for fair reasons. And in fact, there was one point where he was rebonded with Zarathos, and he could tell that the Spirit of Vengeance was like, I don't care if I kill a whole bunch of innocent bystanders. It doesn't bother me. That's bad. That's bad. So it's a mutual tug of war. However, there are times when Johnny and Zarathos have, not unlike, say, Hulk and Bruce Banner have understood each other, come together and said, okay, let's go kill these devilish or even angelic mother effers, including one time when Johnny actually hired someone to kill the Ghost Rider while he was still in possession of him, and then him and Zarathos was like, okay, yeah, we can work this out, let's go kill this dude. So comics. So despite all the power and despite all of the epic writing ability, Johnny never wanted to be the Ghost Rider. Like, that's the whole problem with him, is that he's tied to this. Even when he loses Zarathos, which I'll get to, it keeps coming back to him. And the whole reason for this is that Johnny's entire family line is cursed. All right? His ancestor was actually, let's call it, picked by Mephisto. And I believe the Ward family, I think was, it was the mother's name. I believe that was it. But Mephisto picked one of his ancestors to be the first Ghost Rider, the first true Ghost Rider. It's complicated, of course. And but the said ancestor was able to resist Mephisto's influence. And so because of that, Mephisto watched the clan for generations to try and find, more good Ghost Rider users, which is why you have multiple Ghost Riders within the same family, not the least of which is Johnny Blaze and Danny Ketch. And multiple members of the family, including Johnny's mother, who knew about the curse, actually intentionally left him because she felt that he would be affected by the curse, and so her leaving would save him, except it didn't, because then she made a deal with Mephisto so that he couldn't become the Ghost Rider he was supposed to be, and Mephisto said, sure, I'll just make him a Ghost Rider, not the Ghost Rider. Gosh dang it, Marvel. So, yeah. He has had one hell of a life. And it's bad. Like, at one point, he was able to lose Zarathos, and he married Roxanne, a.k.a. Eva Mendes. She's nice. Have a couple of kids, but then he got roped back into life when he found Danny Ketch. Gotta catch them all. And that led to his kids getting kidnapped, Roxanne dying, getting brought back via Mephisto, her losing her memories, getting back her memories, deciding, hey, I'm not going to be with Johnny again because he seems to have moved on. Yeah, he moved on because he thought you were dead. Go back to him, woman. Come on. He's had multiple girlfriends, multiple friends, family members die, including Danny at one point. And even when he doesn't have the spirit of vengeance anymore, he keeps trying to find it because he wants to make sure that no one else is getting hurt by it because, better me than them. And at one point, it got so bad with Johnny that he straight up became the king of hell. All right, Mephisto was going on one of his tirades on Earth, which left the throne of hell open, and Johnny, with Zarathos, was able to take the king of hell throne, controlling the entire underworld, or one of the levels of the underworld. Okay, not the underworld. That's the one below all's domain. We're not getting into that, not yet. And so on and so forth. And that, of course, made him much more of a bad guy because, hell corrupts. Go figure. And he had to be the Avengers, Robbie Reyes, a fellow Ghost Rider, and more had to basically convince him to give up the crown so that Mephisto could come back so they could beat Lilith, who was the mother of all demons. Comics. So yeah, he's had quite a journey, and his journey still goes on. He's gonna get more serious. He's gonna get more appearances and more. So the question is, how does one kill a Ghost Rider? There are a few ways. All right, and in the realm of a death battle, this would be considered multiple win conditions. The first one, and the most obvious one, which has not been retconned to my knowledge, is holy weapons. Because even though Zarathos is an angel, he's a fallen angel, and thus holy weapons of any kind can affect him. And one of the most infamous examples of this was with Punisher, who, when Johnny Blaze and Frank Castle were a part of the Thunderbolts together under General Ross, Red Hulk from the movie that was mid. Yes, I know he came before the movie, I'm just saying. Punisher decided, no, I'm just going to kill all the Thunderbolts because, reasons. And when he fought Johnny, he didn't have anything that could technically kill him. And so he actually used the Ghost Rider's own chains, which are holy weapons, and literally choked Zarathos out of Johnny. This is real. I read that comic. I remember that one. In fact, Johnny was so happy to be freed from the Ghost Rider that he actually kissed Frank on the lips. It was quite a panel. And then Mephisto used some bullcrap logic to, get the Zarathos back into Johnny. And he went... Comics, everybody. The other way, and this might be important later, is that Zarathos can be removed from Johnny or Danny or whoever is embodying him at the time and trapped somewhere. Remember when I told you that he married Roxanne and had kids who got kidnapped later and then couldn't be found for some mysterious reason? That was when Johnny was freed of Zarathos the first time, when him and the Zarathos and the Sin Eater were trapped in the Crystal of Souls. Zarathos did eventually break out and come back to Johnny, because comics, but it took a long time. Like, it took not just multiple arcs, but Johnny finding Danny, who was imbued with a different spirit of vengeance, and so on and so forth. So there are ways to defeat a Ghost Rider. It's just dang difficult, because this is a guy who can go up against the Hulk And even Zarathos is like, yeah, I could kill you, but I won't because you're technically innocent this time. World War Hulk. Go look it up. He has taken on, he can outrace Mjolnir, as we saw in the Lobo one. He's on par with Mephisto, who can fight Galactus to a standstill, and galaxies. Thank you, Bloopers video. Galaxies exploded during their conflict. It's bonkers how strong Mephisto is, and Ghost Rider has beaten Mephisto. So that's an insane level of speed, power, durability, and supernatural bullcrap that makes you say, hey, I want to go fight the Ghost Rider? Hell no. Alright, next up we have Spawn. Can I do a good Keith David? You are trespassing. No. I've met Keith David. He's a great man. He's a great man. But yes, Al Simmons, who was not played by Keith David in the live-action movie. That was... Oh, I just had his name. Don't you hate when that happens? I just had his name. Al Simmons was basically a born soldier, and he was in the Marines, was in the Secret Service, became a part of the CIA, and then a special sect of the CIA called the U.S. Security Force, if I recall correctly. And he was, as the preview said, the guy who would bring the red, white, and blue all over the world, mainly red. Democracy at the end of a gun. And Al was fine with that because, he was told he was doing the greater good, that he was, helping people, saving Americans, blah, blah, blah. Naturally, this led to him dying by betrayal from his handler, of all people, and then one of the people who worked for his handler, retcons. There's a lot of retcons in Spawn. Comics! See, aren't you glad we're doing a comics matchup again? Yay! Anyway, and yes, I know Omni-Man wasn't in the comics, that's not the point. I mean, I guess kind of the point, but it doesn't matter. So, after his death, he was sent straight to hell. Or, once again, one of the layers of hell, where he met Malebolgia. First of all, interesting name. Second of all, interesting look. But hey, it was 90s and Todd McFarlane. So, yeah. And it was there that Simmons made a deal with this devil. And he requested that he see his wife, Wanda, one more time, and then he would serve as a general in the armies of hell. I hope you're not doing a drinking game for how many times I say hell, because it's going to be a lot. So Malebolgia totally took this deal and absolutely respected Al Simmons' wishes and just took him right back to his world so he could spend some quality time with Wanda before having him be part of his general, or be the general of his armies. Right? Hell no. He tricked him, made him a malformed hell spawn, and dropped him into the world 5 years later, because you can't tell time in the underworld, made him a malformed entity, had him lose most of his memories, and then by the time Simmons realized what was going on, and he did find Wanda, he couldn't face her because of his face, and 2, she was already married to his best friend Terry, who they had a child with, Cyan, and he decides, this is real, but I promise this is real, he decided that after he realized he couldn't shapeshift into himself because hilarity and devilry, he turned himself into his best friend and went to his wife and made love to her, which would eventually go and bring the end of the world. Yeah, we Todds are a weird bunch. Just saying. So, after this, he was, Spawn, as he was now known, decided that he would not serve Malebolgia, and instead would protect the underserved, mainly the homeless, via Rat City. And over time, he went from just a guy who had this sick suit of, black necro armor to one of the most broken comics characters you will ever find. Because, not unlike any anime protagonist, if you recall DB cast, Liam likened him to a shonen protagonist. At first, he started off just using, guns because he was a military man, his cape, and eventually changed that he could form from his armor. But over time, he learned how to use magic, his abilities evolved, his suit itself evolved, and he was able to challenge numerous demons, devils, gods, and everything in between. And I do mean this literally, because, again, Spawn is broken, And part of that is because he faces all manner of angels and demons, because since he is, for lack of a better term, a middleman to everything, both sides either want to control him or want to kill him. And that led to him facing numerous threats, including the Violator, John Leguizamo. See, I remember his name. No, that wasn't Michael Clark. No. I want to say it's like Anthony something. I apologize. I know who he is because I've seen him in other shows. But he faced the Violator. He's faced the numerous forms of the Redeemer. He's faced angels. He's faced other generals, other Hellspawn. And eventually, he was the guy who had to both prevent and allow the end of the world. So remember when I said he made love to kids, made love to his wife while taking the form of his best friend? Yeah. So the kids that they had, which I don't even want to get into the continuity of it all, but they turned out to be the literal reincarnations of God and Satan. This is real. And as we would find out, in the Spawn cosmology, which is important, there is heaven and hell, but there is also higher planes and other planes. For example, at one point in time, Spawn got the power of purgatory, which was its own middleman. They at first didn't care about the war between the two factions, but then they realized, the world's getting destroyed, innocent people are getting hurt needlessly. This is a bunch of bullcrap. Spawn, can you go end this? And then there is the Mother of Miracles, who is the entity above all, or the one above all, if you want to use Marvel cosmology. All right, she was so ticked at God and Satan for their stupidity that she forced them to reincarnate into the children to help start the end of the world. And then Spawn had to go and stop that, which he did. Yes, Spawn stopped the end of the world, rebirthed the world. Made sure that everyone had their memories of rapture so that they couldn't forget what happened, including, I guess, their deaths, and then sought to protect people even further. And part of the time he did this when he was Angel Spawn. Now, there are many, many, many versions of Spawn. My personal favorite is Gunslinger Spawn because Westerns. So, the Spawn, due to his various power sets, has had numerous upgrades and power boosts. When he had to fight the end of the world, he was Angel Spawn, where the Mother of Miracles gave him the forbidden fruit from the Garden of Eden after he willingly allowed himself to die so that he could be reborn as Angel Spawn, golden wings and everything. And that power alone was enough to put him on par with with God, like Big G, and Satan, Big S. Make a joke here about them all. And he was able to defeat them. And then he didn't because he couldn't kill his own children, because remember, they were his kids. And they killed him, but he came back. It's a lot. It's so a lot. And this brings us to, eventually, Spawn would go and ask Mother of Miracles to relinquish his godly power, returning him to the Hellspawn form. And I've got to be like at 15 by now. Oh, French champagne. No, it's sex words. Or something else. What a guy. And what a Unicron. So, he eventually returned to his natural form, which is far more complicated than you might think, because what he wears isn't technically a suit of armor, but actually a demon named Letha, who is from the seventh house or something like that. She has an official title. And Letha is sentient, not unlike what Zarathos is to Johnny Blaze, to the extent that while Simmons can control the suit, she also can control it when the time allows. There were even times when he's like knocked out and she can just, take over and have fun without him, messing about. And their power has grown exponentially over time. Now, you might remember from the preview, and this cannot be said enough, that Simmons himself was reborn as Spawn via necroplasm. And that's why he weighs 400 pounds, because he's got all that necroplasm in him. Now, Letha feeds off of that and the natural sins of others, if you recall the Kratos fight. the original Spawn Kratos fight, not Kratos Sasura. Could you imagine? Your sins are innumerable. Yes, I know it's Ghost Rider's line. But she feeds off of that, and he said that he has a limited supply. However, later on, via one of his many forms, he got unlimited necro energy, necroplasm. So that will not be a problem for him. Plus, again, he can feed off the energy of others, which leads to his many other broken powers, which include, as shown in the preview, super strength, super speed, super durability, healing factor, soul manipulation and regeneration, the ability to do his version of a penance stare, or bring his soul back together after it was torn to shreds. He can teleport, he can do matter manipulation, he can do reality manipulation, he can go so fast it's actually unbound by time. Broken. And again, he can talk with gods and monsters. He can, I think I said reality warping already, sorry about that. He can create just about anything he wants from his necro armor, including like chains, weapons, etc., etc. And so much more. You might remember a certain picture. I don't know if it's official canon panel, but it's one where Spawn is walking by a prison of people he's captured, and it's basically every Marvel and DC superhero of importance. So, like Superman, Shazam. I don't know if Ghost Rider was in there, but I wouldn't be surprised. So I don't know if that's canon, so don't hold me to that. And as the comics went on, he just got so broken, so powerful that he even became like actual god at one point, gave up that power to become the Hellspawn, not this is different from the other time, and turned himself into, something that's on par with God, insane in his base form, and then can go even higher. So, how does one kill a Hellspawn? It's tricky. Now, in the comics, there was one time when Simmons actually killed himself, because that was a true way to kill a Spawn, was to kill himself. That's not entirely accurate anymore. Not to mention, when he goes to hell, he can come right back via teleportation. That was something Liam noted in the DB cast. And you could get rid of his armor, which will, much like Zarathos, just find a new host. So that's a little more complicated than it seems. Not to mention, you still have to get to Simmons in the first place. So yeah, he's just as broken as I've teased. And when you think about the levels of supernatural and godly beings and demonic beings that he's fought, not to mention killing Malifausia twice. Okay. And if you recall the DB cast, when he killed Malvosia the first time, his screams were echoed throughout creation. His screams were echoed and felt throughout creation. So, evildoers beware, because if he's coming to get you, he's going to spawn something quite horrifying. Alright. Actually, surprised I took that long. I was actually hoping to do under 30, but we're not going to get there now. Alright, so who wins in a fight between Ghost Rider and Spawn? Nah. Now, I say this before the G1 blog comes out, and if you go to the DB Discord, there's actually no real consensus about who wins. And here's why. You think, the penance stare is a guaranteed win, except there have been so many characters that have evaded the penance stare or straight up not cared that it doesn't really matter. Not to mention, Spawn has done that, and he's had his own soul manipulated and hurt, and he's rebuilt it or resisted it. So, and the same with Ghost Rider. So both of their stares are moot points. Let's talk speed. We know that Ghost Rider at bare minimum, can go as fast as Mjolnir, who can travel around the universe in a few seconds. Spawn went so fast that he broke the concept of time. Now, we obviously don't know, I can't say personally the high point of Ghost Rider's speed, but even if it was just massively faster than light, that puts him somewhat close to Spawn. So let's just say for now that's moot. Strength is an interesting one, because you obviously have to put Zarathos, not Johnny, Zarathos against Mephisto, who could go up against Galactus. So, cosmic levels of power. But you could say the same thing for Spawn, who's had to fight God and the devil, who could wreck the world, if not more. And then he's faced and defeated Malvosia, and again did the whole Echoes Across Creation thing. So that's not just hyperbole. That's broken. Weaknesses are tricky because what it really comes down to is not Al Simmons and Johnny Blaze or Danny Ketch or whoever. It's about their suits or what possesses them. It's Zarathos versus Layla. Letha. Layla was the AI for Spider-Man 2099 versus Letha. And that's where things get really tricky because even though Al doesn't need the suit anymore and he can even summon it on his own, it's still going to be a key part of the factor. And Johnny with Zarathos, even if Johnny dies, as what happened in the Loba fight, Zarathos can just go ape and say, send me to Earth, your sins are innumerable, and then it's like, an unbound fight. So the question is, who has an ability, a weapon, a tactic to actually put the other down in any meaningful way? Because you could technically kill Zarathos and Letha and Al and Johnny, and then they could come back through the various bullcrap and retcons. All right. Again, Simmons gets right back to hell, and same with Johnny, and then they can come back in certain ways. Some are even thinking that the fight's going to go to hell, and I'm all for that. The fight going there, just saying. I'm not talking about my innocence or anything. But please don't think I'm a bad person. The question here is, again, who can put down who first? And that's really hard to tell. I mean, with all their retcons and bullcrap win conditions that they would need to have, this absolutely, not like, say, Scooby Courage, could be a tie. All right? This could be a true eternal struggle. So I'm fully saying right now, if it's a tie, I'm calling it a win for me. Because this could be a tie. If I was to pick one, though, not like I did with Scooby Courage, I'm going to pick Spawn. And here's why. While Johnny has fought, certain levels of demonic entities, he didn't fight the one. He didn't fight the one below all. He fought Mephisto. Al has fought actual God and Satan. And technically has gone up against some other miracles, I believe, at one point. So that's a higher level of power. Not to mention, while Simmons can generate the Spawn suit, even without Letha technically, Johnny needs Zarathos. And as I noted earlier, there was a situation where Zarathos and the Sin Eater actually was trapped in the Crystal of Souls. And some people are stating that there is a place that Spawn could send Johnny because of teleportation and reality warping, among other things, and trap him there, making him basically mortal, which would easily give Spawn the chance to kill him. So, plus there is one other thing I did not bring up, and it's one that was mentioned in the DB cast by Liam, and that is the Sword of the Spirit, which was given to Spawn by the Mother of Miracles, which is said to kill any demonic soul it touches. And even though Zarathos was an angel, he is now a spirit of vengeance, which is technically a demon, and thus technically could be killed. And as we saw before, as I mentioned in the Thunderbolt arc, any kind of holy weapon which Spawn would totally have access to between his fights with the angels, with things he can create, and the Sword of the Spirit, which was given by the highest being in his universe, would be something to affect the Ghost Rider. So, while this could absolutely be a tie, if I was to pick somebody, I'm going to go with Spawn, because Todd McFarlane is just the kind of guy to just make his guys even more broken and not care. Thank you, Todd. So, with that, I'm in this episode of Talk Talk. Who do you think is going to win between Ghost Rider versus Spawn? And what do you think the fight's going to be like? What do you think the win condition is going to be? Let me know in the comments below. Also, I have a new Kickstarter up for Tokyo Blade Detectives. It's my anime comic series. I'm really proud of it. We are on the third arc. We're starting the third arc right now, and we have, at this time of this recording, like 5 days left. So please, give it a look. If you like my videos and just like me, please go support it. It really would help. Every little bit. Every pledge matters. So thank you. And with that, I made this episode of Todd Talk. So, thank you for watching. It means for I know you're listening. And I'll see you around.